sort of interesting where I got to, and then where the trajectory I'm going in. It started with a songwriting workshop. We wrote a song, we performed in front of 250 people. Then I thought, okay, I'd like to do something more substantial with it, and found the singers. Then we produced a song, and then I felt guilty because I was a middle class person singing about homeless people. Suddenly it became, I need to do something about this. And now I've got a full blown fundraising project with some ambitious targets and a wonderful team of people who are supportive as well.
Welcome to Landmark Difference Makers, where we interview people making a remarkable difference around the world. Get ready to be inspired. Let's jump in.
Stan, I really thank you for being here, and it really is, just a pleasure. Homelessness is something that is a very important topic for me personally. So I just love the opportunity to be able to talk to somebody who's creating, such an extraordinary project related to this.
Thanks, Seamus. I appreciate the opportunity to share on such an important subject as well. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to start with what connects you to the topic of homelessness?
Yeah, I'm a singer and a musician, and then I've got a day job in technology. Every year in Australia, in a town called Hobart, there's an event called Festival of Voices. It attracts about 30,000 people, and there are a lot of choirs. There's also workshops, and one of those workshops is a songwriting workshop that I attended. It's run by a gentleman called Paul Jarman, who's quite a renowned internationally as a composer. He's written songs around the opening of the London Olympics. He was commissioned to write a song for Martin Luther King's the 40th anniversary of his death, which was played in the White House. So he runs that workshop. There were 15 of us. One of the ladies, one of the women attending was Dr. June Eastgate. She said that she deals a lot with homeless people, and she'd conceived this song that we worked on. So 15 of us worked on those lyrics, and we worked on the melody as well. There's 5 of us on that, and then I gathered 35 singers from various choirs across Australia. But my personal connection also extended to some years ago in the middle of Sydney, where I'm based. I ran into an elderly woman in a very public place. She had puffed cream on her face, like she'd been eating a pastry. And yet my initial reaction was to think that was humour. It was thinking she's enjoying a pastry to that extent, until I realised she was standing next to a garbage bin and she'd actually just been retrieving what she could to eat. That image has stuck with me all these years. And as soon as there was an opportunity to be able to do something which I love, which is music, but to use that to help create awareness, that's really what got me going. And since then, I've been able to engage some amazing people, some who are on this interview today. Thanks to Vronnie and Angela, there's some great examples of people who've been supportive, and we've achieved a lot, and we're going to achieve a lot more as well. So yeah,
Well,
that's what got me going.
let's talk about the achievements so far. So, I mean, first of all, is you pulled together more than 50 people to create a song,
hmm
"Homeless." What is it that inspired all those people to participate in this?
The a common sense of wanting to help. The statistics in Australia are alarming. Amongst women are disproportionately represented when it comes to homelessness and the rapid growth in homelessness. And what that has to do with is we've got 53,000 over 53,000 homeless women in Australia, which is quite significant. We're not as big as America, but it's a big proportion of people in a first world country that it shouldn't be the case. That's over 53,000 homeless, but there's over 400,000 elderly women at risk because of financial stress. The economy in Australia at the moment is not good. We've seen inflation. Women generally earn less than men. Women generally have less superannuation because they've been busy raising children. and they're particularly vulnerable from a financial perspective in terms of the economy. So we're seeing an alarming increase in homelessness amongst elderly women. And of course, they're also particularly vulnerable physically, trying to sleep out in the street. Um, and then on top of that, we've got domestic violence. Australia, unfortunately, we've got a lot of people living in remote areas. We've got a lot of people who've got alcohol issues, all sorts of things going on, and domestic violence is extreme in Australia. And every year there's over 70,000 uh, women and younger women seeking specialist services for homelessness because of domestic violence and family violence. So that's been what we're wanting to raise awareness about that, and the song, actually the lyrics in the song is a rally call. It's about people coming together. The lyrics are working together we can make things right. And so we've been very busy. Ronnie's done an awesome job in helping us get 10,000 colour brochures printed at no cost. Thanks very much to Snap Printing in Surrey Hills in Sydney, and we've been busy distributing those leaflets. We've got radio play, initial radio play. I've recently been interviewed by a magazine with 80,000 readers. Hopefully, that'll be an article that goes out early next year. So it's about bringing people together to make things right, create awareness, especially for homeless women. And we're also proudly fundraising for Mission Australia. We chose Mission Australia because they're national. The problem with homelessness in Australia is a national one, and Mission Australia is able to help nationally. They provide a wide range of services for the community. They have a very strong focus on homelessness. They actually have some dwellings where they can help provide emergency accommodation. They can also help with assistance when it comes to expenses like people's travel expenses, just to find alternative housing. They can also help with counselling. They also run programs for young people as well to help them become, I guess, confident, self-sufficient, be able to succeed in the world, which that helps prevent homelessness in the first place. They also help in the area, counselling when we're talking things like drugs and alcohol addictions. Unfortunately, people will, you know, resort to those sort of things as coping mechanisms, and then end up in the addiction trap. So Mission Australia can help those sort of people as well. So we're raising awareness specifically for homeless women. There is an alarming growth in homeless women. And we're also raising money for homeless people more generally. Every $1,000 we raise gives a base for a homeless person to rebuild their life. I'm proud to say that working together, we've raised over $14,000 already. So, do the numbers, we'll potentially help 14 people rebuild their lives. Our goal is to initially raise $100,000, and with help from your listeners and everyone else we're reaching out to. And thanks very much for our volunteers. That's $100,000. That will then be approaching the media because that's definitely newsworthy. And then we aim to ramp that up. And I'm going for $1 million at the end of the day. I've engaged with a philanthropic organisation in Australia that helps high net worth individuals and wealthy people direct their funds to where they'd like to. What we're offering for those people is an opportunity to inspire the rest of Australia to get behind us. And then we go the next leg from 100,000 to hopefully $1 million. I like to think big. That's the vision that we're created. And so definitely help with the magazine that's covering us as well. Yeah.
So thinking big, the $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
on an individual basis, how does that make a difference for the individual women that you're concerned for? What are the kinds of services that this will make available for them?
A couple of $100 donation can give emergency shelter for person who's just become homeless. Again, gives them a base to rebuild their life. Just simple things like, paying for their transport if they need help to travel around and find alternative housing. Um, the clothing, some of the people we've got on our call today, directly help homeless women in particular move into a new apartment, deck that apartment out with furniture, the bare essentials that they need for them and their children. So, and these funds are helping to those sort of organisations. As I say, we chose Mission Australia because they're national.
Stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right. Stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right.
I see it in your eyes, yes, I'm down and out. Just the sort of woman you don't want to think about. Listen to my story, respect my dignity. I don't want your pity or your sympathy. I've had it all before, a job and a home, 2 kids, 3 dogs and a business of my own. But I have made it in the middle class life, a position of respect and executive wife. He had a dirty scheme with his sugar babe. I never saw it coming, such a bloody cliche. He left me on my own with nothing to my name, just a few clothes and a shopping bag of shame. I've had to rely on people I don't know. I walk down the street, my poverty on show, half awake with one eye open. For comfort, safety, and peace I'm hoping. Crouching in the bin for a scrap of food. Cheered at, screamed at, broken and ruined. But I will survive, will you join me in my song? Come on, we've been silent too long. We are here and it's getting worse every day. In a country like ours, how did it get this way? We marching home for a better day. When fear and despair will blow away. When no one takes it all and feathers rain. So we keep on marching for a brighter day. We'll have a place to stay where dirt, where decay. But we're not finished, we've got plenty more to say. Life is more than fear and distress. All we need is a permanent address. A roof overhead, 4 walls and a bed. Someone who listens to what we've said. And ever to spark our fire again. See the phoenix rise from the ashes of our pain. We march here home for a better day. When fear and despair will blow away. When no one takes it all and feathers rain. So we keep on marching for a brighter day. Stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right. I said stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right. Stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right. Stand up, speak up, don't give up the fight. Working together we can make things right.
One of the things I think for a lot of people when it comes to homelessness is that it's, the intersections that most of us have. I think this is true in North America where I live, is they're fleeting. You're interacting with somebody perhaps on the street or, the off ramp on an expressway. And it's a very, very brief encounter, and usually it's just transactional. Or there's, the other thing that, I think all of us do from time to time when we don't have anything to give, whether or not to make eye contact, etc. But what is it that the average person doesn't, the average housed person doesn't get about the experience of being homeless?
Yeah, the details. And I think later on, some of our guests here that they've got experience in that as well. But I've had a person with lived experience with homelessness come to one of our rehearsals for the song. We invited her to present to everyone. Uh, Firstly, people can become homeless through many different ways. We've got people. We've talked about domestic and family violence. We've talked about elderly women with financial stress. There's people with mental health issues. There's people who try to cope with addictions that just make things worse, and then they lose their homes. This woman who talked, she was a nurse, and on her way home she was attacked. She was unable to work after that, and she talked about the little alcoves between shops where people might try to sleep between the shops at night time, and where the women would seek help from men who'd offer to stand guard for them at night so they'd be safe. And in return, the women were required to get drugs for the man who would stand guard for them, and then wake up in the middle of the night to find that the man's left anyways. And there's all these details no one would think of. Um, the what I've found since doing this project, I can't walk past a homeless any person without saying hello,
Mm.
and I often get a smile from them. I think they so um, sorry um, the they they appreciate it, and I don't think people realise we just walk past, you know, and we pigeonhole people, and we get judgmental of them. There's just such a wide variety of people who need help, and they need someone to talk to. Like you say, it's fleeting, it's transactional, and they're gone from our thoughts. You know.
Yeah. Well, just imagining for a moment what it's like to kind of go through your day and only have fleeting interactions with people and transactional ones and a lot of rejection.
Yeah, and a lot of people looking at you in a judgmental way. God knows how I looked to that woman that day that had the cream on her face.
Mm. Well, one of the other things that I wanted to ask you about is, this is a project that was inspired by training that you had in the self-expression and leadership program, a landmark program, and um, happens to be a program I led for many years. A big fan. Um, but uh, how how has that training come into play in taking on a project of this scope?
Yeah, there's some elements there. I mean, self-expression is firstly about being able to express yourself. I love music. For me, the opportunity to be able to send a message out there, and the song is you'll be playing later on. It's a rally call for people to appreciate what life's like for homeless people, and to come together to help make things right. So the opportunity to be able to express myself with music and to bring people together. So we brought composers, musicians, and singers together from all sorts of different areas of society. A lot of those singers came from various choirs who sometimes are a little protective about other projects, but then everyone wanted to help, and so and everyone, that was an opportunity to express themselves too. The people who love singing and composing coming together. I think self the SLP program talks about leading by example. Bronny's done an awesome job getting us 10,000 leaflets printed, and I've been one of the people hitting the streets and talking to people and sharing that leaflet with them, which is a link to our song and also our fundraising page hosted by Mission Australia. So there's that aspect in terms of the leadership in creating the possibility about being able to work for people to be able to work together and to help make things right for homeless people, and to lead by example. I'd hope we all inspire other people in Australia. It's always hard, I imagine, to get traction when you're fundraising and go for an ambitious target. We've certainly found that challenging. It's not stopping me. I'm going to keep trying different approaches. It's joining the dots. People do actually want to help if you have the conversations, and then you can start to join the dots. You'll talk to one person and they'll know someone in a philanthropic organisation who knows some wealthy people. You'll talk to the Festival of Voices marketing people and suddenly find out they've got 10,000 active followers and they're happy to host us singing the song. And I start joining the dots. Let's invite the wealthy people to an event at Festival of Voices. So that's one of the things that's going to happen. So it's creating those sort of possibilities. It's about empowering others. So we've got some volunteers on here who we've all been working together, sharing the message and helping create awareness, generate donations. It can be a challenge in Australia in a way. Australia is quite a generous sort of country when it comes to charities. A lot of people we're talking to would already be giving money to charities. We'd ask them to take a pause. There is an alarming growth in homelessness here in Australia because of the economy and because of domestic violence. Creating awareness and seeing if we can direct some of those generous funds towards people that have a particular need right now. It's also about having, at the SLP program also talks about having integrity. I like that word. They talk about the spokes in a wheel of a bike. If we consider ourselves all spokes in a wheel, if one of those spokes isn't working, then the wheel's not going to work too well. If we work together, that wheel has integrity. And that's what I want to achieve with this project where, if something doesn't work, that's fine. Let's try something else. I'm not going to give up and, have that sort of, try to lead in that sense. And we've got we're discovering leaders in amongst us as well. Bronnie, who's on the call today, she's awesome with marketing and social media. And I've been learning from her. I had a focus on homelessness to start with. In general, Bronnie pointed out that a leading cause for younger women is domestic violence, which I hadn't thought of, and so I've learnt from that process as well. And that's a core part of our message. Angela on the call as well. She's been fantastic when it comes to, we had to find venues for 35 people to rehearse. I had 3 businesses generously come forward and give us their space. I was lying in bed 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning and suddenly realised I had more people volunteer to sing than one of those spaces could accommodate. So with less than a week's notice, I had to find an alternative space, and Angela's very generously helped out in terms of welcoming people to those venues. We had to have people sign off on being able to contribute and that they're happy for us to use their recording. So Angela's helped run that part of things as well.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk about, and this is one of our hopes with this podcast, is that we inspire people to take action on things that they care about themselves. And you've clearly invested an enormous amount of time and energy into this project. If there was somebody who was sitting, quote unquote, on the sidelines, with something that they want to contribute to, something they want to make a difference in, what would you say to them about the benefit of rolling up your sleeves and getting involved in something that you care about?
I'd say one of the biggest satisfactions you can have in life is helping other people. We all get tied up in our day-to-day concerns and things like that. Those quickly pale when it comes to helping people that are in serious need. But even simple things like we've said, if you're passing a homeless person in the street, just say hello. How are you? Have a chat. And of course, if we can donate as well, we've got that fundraising page, which is www.tinyurl/make things right. It's www.tinyurl.com/make things right.
And we'll include that in the description of the
Thank
podcast when
you.
we
I
release
always
it.
forget the .com bit.
You asked Stan how and why should people get involved, or what the benefits are of getting involved in something like this when it's, extra demands on your time or your energy or something. It is genuinely something that will take you out of your day-to-day bubble and the kind of privileged bubble that I find myself in, which I'm very lucky to be in, but it's also, it massively puts the blinkers on your own life and your experiences and dragging yourself out of that comfort zone. I think is fundamental that people do that for a society that works for everyone. It's enriching to yourself as well to learn and help. And you also asked about the experiences that homeless women might have that people might not be as aware of. And I think that and Stan, you touched on that a little, but like when we had that presentation from, that woman who generously offered to share her experiences with us, and also anecdotally the experiences of other women she lived with on the streets, the harrowing stories of violence and particularly sexual violence that homeless women experience, like that sense of there being no safety, right? Like you escape a violent situation in your home only to be homeless and then be exposed to that violence again on the streets. I found that particularly harrowing because there is no safety. If there's no safety at home, there's certainly no safety on the street. So where are these women meant to go themselves, but also with their children? And just the really visceral, the visceral impressions she gave us of, a day might include sexual violence, might include being spat on, being kicked, including the police, no less, and just being utterly dehumanized and not seen as on the same level as people walking past you in the streets. It's sad, but it's also makes you realize, have I done that? I mean, I obviously haven't been violent, but have I walked past people dehumanizing them in my head? So I think it's really important to expose yourself to that if you are usually not, if you live in that kind of more comfortable bubble usually.
No, that's really, thank you for presencing that, Veronica.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with the time that we have, I have just a couple more questions. And, one of them you've started to answer about, the difference it makes for you to take this on. What does the future look like? If you succeed at the level that you're committed to succeeding, what will it look like?
Yeah, well, it's sort of interesting where I got to, and then where the trajectory I'm going in. It started with a songwriting workshop. We wrote a song, we performed in front of 250 people. Then I thought, okay, I'd like to do something more substantial with it, and found the singers. Then we produced a song, and then I felt guilty because I was a middle class person singing about homeless people. Suddenly it became, I need to do something about this, and now I've got a full blown fundraising project with some ambitious targets and a wonderful team of people who are supportive as well. The way the future looks, as I said, every $1,000 we raise, the numbers are that gives a homeless person a base to rebuild their lives. We've been successful with at least 14 times over. We've raised over $14,000. If I can keep going and reach our initial target of $100,000, if they can get the media coverage, and we can get some wealthy people behind us as well, and corporations, and reach our $1 million, the number of people we've helped would be awesome. I can't see how I'd stop. Like in my mind, I need to stop. I've got other things I'd like to be doing. I'd like to be composing music and things like that. But if I can keep raising $1,000 and keep helping, how could I stop? So to answer your question, the future looks like I'm probably not going to stop. You know, and we may not reach $1 million, but I'm saying I'm declaring that we are going to reach $1 million. Going to give it my best shot. We've got a lot of people out there generously giving to all sorts of charities. If we can get a slice of that with a focus on the growth in homelessness, that would be wonderful. And why not go for it?
Angela, anything else you'd want to have Stan say to?
I think that everyone taking part, the 30 or 50 of us that took part in presenting this song, I think that the interesting thing that happened to me going around door knocking, I had a few responses from people saying, oh, well, was it their fault that they became homeless?
Hmm.
And sort of like, well, it's their fault, so therefore why should we help them, kind of that was the attitude. But I think that it's like they say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it's the same with adults. We all need each other. And to just point the blame and not take responsibility and say, I can make a difference, I can help this person, is just lacking foresight, lacking a sense of community, a sense of responsibility, as a human being, to care for others, to, like Vonnie said, dehumanizing people, just turning them into a decision. Well, they made a decision, a bad decision, and therefore this is what's happened to them, and therefore why should I help them?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think you're pointing to two things that I think are very powerful. Stan, you talked about integrity and use the example of spokes in a wheel,
Mm.
and I think that from what everybody's saying here, if we have people in these circumstances and we do not consider it, ours to address, that the wheel doesn't have full integrity.
No, we worry about taxes, which we worry about crime, we worry about all these things. Everything's interconnected, Um, um, as I say, the best thing you can get out of life is helping other people. When we're helping other people, these things we complain about dissipate.
Yeah. The other thing that really stands out, as you describe the circumstances that people are in, is how much those of us that are housed, employed, fortunate, take for granted the network of relationships that we have available to us to rely upon. Yeah. And that when one is homeless, the network shrinks and the resources of the network that remains are extremely limited. And none of us get wherever it is that we get by ourselves. We get there through a community. And when somebody talks about a poor decision or a poor choice, and therefore they're responsible for their situation, okay, fine. But getting out of that situation requires community, and it requires people who are willing to have another human being's circumstance be their quote unquote problem.
I would also like people to challenge the thinking of poor decisions, because people don't make decisions in a vacuum. Decisions are made in a context. So you know, even if we're talking about drugs or gambling or whatever, these decisions have been made in a context that, you know, whether that's economical distress or a mental health issue, but these things don't happen out of nowhere. They're embedded in a society. So, you know, I would challenge that thinking of like poor decisions have led to that. Have we all, everyone has made poor decisions in their lives, but not every poor decision leads to a tragic outcome like that. So, what's the difference? And the difference is structural. But that's probably more than we can cover in like a short amount of time.
Yeah,
But a very good point nonetheless. Thank you.
yeah, and there's so many reasons why someone would become homeless. You know, in Australia, the leading causes for elderly women is financial stress. You know, women live longer than men. Women might break up with men for any reason, and women earn less money. Women have less superannuation. These are things that aren't necessarily within their control, and
Yeah, they're
can
not
find
decisions.
they're not decisions, and they can find themselves home, and it's the leading cause for elderly women. So um, the decision argument, there's so many different ways why it's just stupid. And then you've got the younger women with the domestic violence, you know, as if that's their decision. Um, and as you say, Seamus, you know, people quickly lose their support networks when they become homeless. They definitely need to rebuild that. They need that, you know, and the last thing they need to be worrying about is having a roof over their head and worry about being on the streets and being attacked. You know, give them at least a roof over their head, at least temporarily, so that they can actually have a base to rebuild their life. And as I say, you know, every $1,000 that we can raise helps give someone a roof over their head so they can rebuild their life. We've done it 14 times over so far with our $14,000 we've raised. I'd ask everyone to let's work together and let's make a difference there, and also, you know, share this with other people. Let's ask people to start say hello to homeless people in the streets. What else can you do? Ronnie it volunteers to help get furniture into dwellings for homeless people to have a base, and you know, particularly women and their children. So working together, we can help make things right.
Hmm. Well, I
Yeah, it
really
doesn't always have to be money. Like if you can't volunteer money, then you can, there's plenty of other options to get
just
involved.
just help physically, say hello to someone in the street, share the link to our song and our fundraising page with other people. I've met a lot of students who don't necessarily have money, but there's definitely a lot of young people out there who want to help share the message. And a lot of the young people don't realise how bad the homelessness situation is, and how domestic violence is a leading contributor for young people as well as caring about our elderly people too.
well,
So that's what
Stan.
goes.
Stan, I have a final question, and just a little bit of context. 100 years from now, none of us are going to be here. Nobody listening to this is going to be here unless
Mm-hmm.
there's completely unforeseen improvements in medicine. But at
Yeah.
some point, we won't be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to know, what do you want people to say about you when you're no longer here?
I want them to be inspired. I want them to know that an individual can make a difference. Um, I want them to know that there are people who care in the world, and that you can find those people and reach out to them, and they will be supportive. That working together we can make things right. And that's the lyrics to our song. I hope that song's still around as well.
It's really, really inspiring to speak with you. And I just thank you for your passion and your energy and your determination. It really is an inspiration.
Yeah, thanks, Seamus. And thanks very much for the opportunity to share what we're up to. And I'm mindful that about homelessness globally. As I said, we aim to launch the song on World Homeless Day. I produced a music video featuring the song. That's actually on our fundraising page, which you'll give people the link to. And in producing that video, I was looking for some photos of homeless people, and I just kept coming across homeless people in America as well. Homeless people are doing it tough globally. So I hope this also raises some awareness beyond Australia. And of course, if people can help out in Australia, we do have an alarming growth because our economy's gone downhill.
I really, really thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Seamus. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Landmark Difference Makers. If you're inspired by what you heard and you want to learn more about Landmark's programs or explore upcoming episodes, visit landmarkforumnews.com to find resources, event details, and more stories of people making extraordinary impact around the globe. If you are already a part of the Landmark community, check out the Landmark subscription, designed to provide ongoing support in creating a life you love. Visit landmarkworldwide.com to learn more. Until next time, keep creating, keep contributing, and keep making a difference.